Today I wanted to show you how to make something really easy but also really decadent at the same time. It's for a steak with peppercorn sauce. It's also a great one for holiday entertaining, which will soon be here before we know it, and it's never too soon to start planning. So the first thing you want to do is select your cut of steak. Now today it's just me here for lunch, so I'm only going to make one, but the sauce I'm going to show you how to make does serve 4 people. I am using here a Chateaubriand cut, which is from the tenderloin or the fillet of beef. I love it when I'm entertaining or when I'm trying to do something special for the holidays because it's really tender and super delicious. And in fact, if you have my new cookbook, there's also another recipe in there for a full tenderloin with a horseradish cream sauce, which is another fantastic recipe for entertaining. So the first thing you want to do is season your steak. So I'm just going to put a little bit of salt and pepper. Then you want to put some oil in the pan. I'm using vegetable oil because you want an oil that has a high smoke point. That way you can really sear the steak at a very high temperature. Then when your pan is nice and hot and the oil starts to shimmer, you can place in your steak. Now it really depends on the thickness of your steak, and if it is about an inch or so, like the one I have, I would go about 3 to 4 minutes on each side for medium rare. And pick up your steak and sear it on all sides. Then you can remove it from the pan and put it on a clean plate. Then we're gonna melt 2 tablespoons of butter in this pan. You probably wanna give it a few minutes for your pan to cool down before you put the butter in it because your pan is probably really hot from searing the steak. If you put the butter in too soon, you're gonna have burnt butter, and you really can't continue with the burnt butter. It'll just not taste very good. And then you'll lose all your gorgeous fond at the bottom there. So just a little tip. All right, after that, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of minced shallots. And then don't worry about all this brown bit at the bottom. We're gonna clean that up with our cognac, which is coming in a minute. But first we wanna get lots of really delicious beef flavor on our shallots. I would just cook the shallots for a few minutes. You'll know when they're done when they start to turn translucent and become really fragrant. Anytime you're cooking with wine or cognac, make sure it's a brand you would actually drink. Don't go for the cheap stuff because it's just gonna make your sauce taste kind of cheap and not so good. I love the Hennessy cognac. That's the brand I use, so I'm gonna be using that. And we're looking for 1/3 cup. If you don't have cognac, you could also use brandy. If you don't drink, that's okay. You don't need to use alcohol at all. You could just go with the beef stock and the heavy cream, which is coming next. If you're cooking on a gas cooktop, when you add the cognac, I would turn your flame off, just because if a little bit of cognac splashes onto that gas flame, that will ignite. So safety feature, just turn that off. I don't have that problem because I'm cooking with induction. I know, I really do miss my gas range. But that's okay, I'm learning to live with my induction heat here. There, so once you add the cognac, you'll see it'll start to clean up your pan for you, which is so nice. And you can just go in there with your wooden spoon and scrape up any of those brown bits. And again, that is just gonna add terrific flavor. So we're gonna let this simmer until it reduces by about 1/3. You'll start to smell kind of all the alcohol cook off it. And if you don't have cognac and you go out and buy it, you can also use it for French onion soup, which is fantastic this time of year. I just posted a short this week. You can look on my shorts tab and you can watch my French onion soup recipe. It's so good, I love it. You can see our cognac is reduced. We have a very thickened sauce here. So now we can go on to the next part. So you wanna add 1 cup of beef broth into your pan. And then you also wanna add 1/3 cup of heavy cream. This is where we start to get a little bit decadent for the holidays. Then to give our sauce a little bit of a bite, we're also going to add a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Then just get your sauce on simmer to thicken it up a little bit, and then we are gonna add the peppercorn. So for this recipe, I am actually using green peppercorns because I think they're a lot more mellow in flavor than black peppercorns. They're actually underripe peppercorns. So you find them in the spice aisle or sometimes near the capers or pickles, but they're not a caper. So they may look like a caper, but they have a totally different flavor. So don't get the capers. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of the green peppercorns into our sauce. This is a lovely sauce like this, but I find this sauce is even more decadent if it's a little bit thicker. So I do like to thicken it with a cornstarch slurry. So to do that, you're gonna take a tablespoon of cornstarch and then a tablespoon of very cold water. Stir it up, and you may not even need to use this whole amount. In fact, I would not pour the whole thing in. I would do it slowly as you go so you can thicken it to the way that you like it. You also need to make sure that your liquid is boiling, whatever you're trying to thicken. Otherwise, the cornstarch won't activate. So see, we have some nice bubbles going. We're gonna add our slurry. little bit at a time, and see how much that thickens. Like that just thickens immediately when it's so hot like that. Then any juice that has collected in the bottom of your plate with your meat that has been resting, you can dump that in too, because that is, again, just delicious flavor. Then you just place your steak on the plate and you serve it with this delicious peppercorn sauce. And if you want to just be a little extra fancy, it's also nice to put a little bit of chopped parsley just on top. This might be too big of a piece to stick in my mouth on camera, so I'm going to be a little bit more dainty. That is so good. If you have somebody you need to impress, this is the dish for them. I hope you guys give this one a try and let me know what you think, and I will see you back here next week with another one. All right, I'm gonna go finish my lunch now. See you next time. Bye.